Hi everyone, I'm Maddie and Amber's not here and we're Witches Talking Tarot. So today I'm going to be reading my short story, my Yule short story. I'm really excited about this. So the topic that I chose to focus on for my short story, which is much shorter than Amber's, I just want to say, is the Wild Hunt. And if you haven't already, check out our episode of the Wild Hunt. I think it's in season 2. I don't think it's in season 1. I think it's in season 2, but maybe season 3. I don't know. Just look up Witches Talking Tarot, The Wild Hunt, and then you'll find it. I guarantee you. Anyway, so the story of The Wild Hunt is one of my favorites. And since doing that episode about The Wild Hunt, I just absolutely fell in love with it. I love the idea of Odin on his sleigh. And then, of course, you've got the sleigh bells and the fae with him. And that's really, like, shown through, I think, with this short story. So, needless to say, I'm going to get started on my short story. I'm going to be reading it over my phone because I don't have a printer. So, all right, here we go. The snow fell gently from the darkened sky and blanketed the world in a soft, downy white. The tops of the trees bent with the force of the wind, themselves weighed down with countless numbers of icicles on their evergreen branches. The chill in the air had reached dangerous levels, and anything that did not wish to die a frozen death was hidden away out of sight. In a burrow, perhaps, or a cabin with strong fire to keep inside nice and warm for the night. Only occasionally would one see a winter fox leaping about in hopes of finding its dinner beneath the snow. The world was as cold and as quiet as the grave, at least to a mortal's eyes. Freya raced forward through a clearing in the dark forest, her bare feet seemingly unaffected by the frozen wasteland before her. Her sparkling white dress and long blonde hair flowed behind her as she ran. The chill had no effect on the goddess. In fact, she welcomed it. It felt nice against her flushed skin. Tonight was a special night. Tonight was the Wild Hunt, or so called by the mortals. Freya paused in her run and cocked her head to the side. Her bejeweled, slightly pointed ears gave a twitch in one direction and then the other. She listened to the breeze carefully, and she just barely caught the sound of sleigh bells jingling. There, he was coming from the left. Freya covered her mouth to hide her giggle and took off running once more, heading in the opposite direction of her husband. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air among the trees. Odin pushed his sleigh forward, urging his reindeer to go fast, to fly among the breeze. His big, bushy white beard was carefully braided down his chin to avoid getting tangled from the wild wind. He would find her. By gods, he would find her, and soon. And anyone or anything had better pray they did not get in his way, lest they experience the wrath of Odin of Asgard. All around him, the Fae folk had joined in the hunt for his bride. Fairies the size of snowflakes danced alongside his sleigh, the only thing to distinguish them from the snow itself being their immortal light. Behind him, a pack of wolves ridden by more Fae beings struggled to keep up. The Fae filled the air with their laughter, the sound of small chimes. Beside his sleigh, he saw a group of gnomes jumping up and out of the snow-covered ground, only to dive back in like swimming creatures in the sea. Hi-ya! He raised his whip above his head and cracked the night air above his mount. The reindeer huffed and picked up his speed. Freya had been there. He knew it. He could sense the presence of the goddess close by. He would find her sooner than later tonight. He pulled his sleigh to a halt in the middle of a clearing and sniffed the air. The warm smell of sugar and cinnamon danced on the air. She was close by. He could feel her. With a flick of his wrist on the reins, the reindeer took off, and the hunt that had paused for a moment began again. Freya watched, hidden among the trees nearby, as her husband took off once more in the opposite direction as she. This was such a silly game, this hunt. It had since become a timeless tradition between the two, a game of hide and seek, as the mortals would call it. Oh, Odin was wild indeed when it came to her, and she wouldn't have it any other way. By the time he found her, which would not be any time soon, despite what he thought, he would be mad with longing for her. Something about the hunt did something to the god. It was as if he had lost all, for lack of a better word, humanity within him until he found her. And there was something enchanting about that, at least to Freya. She stepped forward back into the clearing Odin had just evacuated and watched as her husband's sleigh and convoy disappeared into the blizzard at full speed. She wondered how long it would take him to realize he'd been bamboozled yet again. She hoped all the mortals were hiding away, safe in their cabin homes. Odin's wrath would be uncontrollable tonight, especially when he realized his wife had got the best of him yet again. Yay! All right, so that's the end of my short story, all about the Wild Hunt, or my take on the Wild Hunt. I love me some Freya. I love me some Odin. I love me some frost fairies. I can't lie. The whole time I was writing it, I was imagining in my head the dance of the sugar plum fairy. I think that's what it's called, from the Nutcracker. Love me some snow fae. Can't lie. Anyway, I don't think I can push this out any more because my story was just so short. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to send this over to Amber since we're doing things a little bit differently today and let her listen in on this story that I wrote. And we'll hear from her in a minute. Thanks. I guess stay tuned for Amber's opinion on my story. Now I'm going to go watch Amber's story and listen to her. And yeah. Oh, hold on. I gotta stop recording. Sorry, guys. I never do this. So here we go. Stop recording. Bye, guys.
Well, that was a lot of fun. So I loved it. My first thought was, oh, yeah, I forgot. This is how for Maddie's favorite interpretation, or should I be talking like I'm talking directly to Maddie? Am I talking directly to the audience? I'm going to talk directly to Maddie like we do when we're recording together. So, my first thought was, oh, yeah, I forgot when we did our Wild Hunt episode, which you're right. It was in season 2 or 3. I'm not sure which. Not sure which. So I guess you'll have to check out. Either you can search like Maddie said, or you can just go to the December episodes in seasons 2 and 3, and you will find out what we did for all the holidays in those seasons. But that said, I love your interpretation, Maddie, of the Wild Hunt being the god and the goddess having this little tryst, and not a tryst. Maybe that's not the right word, right? Because tryst perhaps implies that we are not already a couple like Odin and Freya are. But regardless, that little game, that little chase. And I loved the way that you tied all the lore in, because, it's you see it as the god chasing the goddess, or the goddess leading the god down this path, right? But then you tie in the lore of how humanity sees the Wild Hunt, of the ferociousness of it and the danger that it poses to humanity. And you tie that all in while definitely letting everyone know you are a spicy romance writer. Because I'm so into it. I'm like listening, I'm enthralled, I'm enjoying the story. And then it's like just the way that you write, the way that your stories go. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it's like even if I didn't know that you wrote spicy romance, I'd be like, this is a spicy romance author right here, because things are heating up in this icy cold snow. But I really enjoyed the imagery of the snow, and the icicles in the trees, and Freya's beautiful white bejeweled dress, and it's like she is dressed in winter, and she is bringing winter as she goes through. And then here comes behind her, charging up like a winter storm of Odin and all the Fae that have joined him along the way. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, I really loved the way where it's like, well, Odin is gonna be really basically pissed off that his wife has tricked him again, and she likes that he is so into her that his animal side comes out in this whole process. But she's like, I hope humanity is watching out, cause yeah, he gonna be mad. He's gonna take it out on you guys. And really, that's exactly the way they saw the Wild Hunt back in the day, right? So like, brava, Maddie. I loved it. I loved the story so much. And everybody at home who's listening or watching on YouTube, I hope you guys enjoyed our story episodes for Christmas time or Yule time. We had a wonderful time for us yesterday, for you guys this past weekend. We had a wonderful time actually carrying out some of the plans that we talked about in our community solstice episode last week, where I was able to find a space to host the toy drive for the pagan kids in our community. So Maddie and I spent quite a bulk of yesterday at a local shop called Butterfly Insights. If you're in the 4 States area, definitely check them out. They're on Main Street in Joplin. Wonderful, lovely Laura definitely helped me out by giving me a place to put on the hot chocolate social and collect toys for the toy drive. So we've been a little bit busy with doing some community functions, but Maddie came out and we had a great time. And unfortunately, because of the weather, there was a little baby. She's just feeling under the weather now. And so we set the videos up this way to get both of our stories out there and to have both of us in each episode. And we hope that it worked out well for you guys, for us to bring you a little Christmas magic, any which way your favorite witches could. And again, I highly enjoyed Maddie's story so much. Like I have already sent her my story, but I have not seen her reaction video to my story. So I'm excited for that. But I really enjoyed her story. Like, it was so much fun to have a long tale of the Wild Hunt as Maddie conceptualizes it, because it's such a beautiful interpretation of the gods and the way that the weather is this time of year, right? Because you're incorporating Freya as the winter and Odin as the winter storm that's dangerous for people because we got caught in it. Then we might freeze to death, or we might wind up in the Fae realm because the Fae got caught up in Odin's fervor to find his Freya. I loved it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Check out our Christmas Eve episode where we will be talking about A Christmas Carol, hopefully together, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It just kind of depends on how little baby feels, and we'll make sure everything shakes out great for everybody, ourselves and yourselves included. So I hope you're having a happy holiday season. I hope you're enjoying everything that not only the season, but your favorite witches are bringing for you. Big thank yous to Death by DVD, Pam, Melissa, Victoria. Thank you all for being our patrons on Patreon. Patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot. If you would like to join them in supporting your favorite witches, you can find us at the aforementioned link. And otherwise, you can find us on the socials at Witches Talking Tarot on Facebook, Threads, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. The same for if you're listening to the podcast. What other fucking... But Instagram, that's the other one. We're on Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot too. Sorry, Maddie usually does that, and I do. We're on the X at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know. So thank you for coming to sit with us for a spell, and don't get caught up in the wild hunt, pal. Bye.